ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, good day. Welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Now, when I start these videos, every day I start by showing you my blood sugars. Now, this may look very familiar to yesterday's numbers because they are yesterday's numbers. But why do I do this? I tried to show you that I tried to strive to get perfect blood sugars and to be the perfect example. But things don't always work out that way. So I want to show you this. I could show you that I have super days. I could also show you where my days aren't great at all. Now, if we take a look at this, I'm going to point out some of the features. First of all, this here just shows calibration. If you're using an older type of sensors, this would be running out of time. Because we're in a Sensor 4, Guardian Sensor 4, we only have to do it once a week. And that's only if you're running time. So there it says no calibration needed. Works better for me. This here is basal, is in the pink. That's what my body needs just to keep me going and keep me out of DKA. We don't want DKA. The blue lines are little bursts of insulin. They're called bolus. And the bolus is just corrections to keep me within the safe zone. If I go up, it gives me a little bit more insulin to go down. Each one of these little blue lines is tied with an amount. So here, that little blue line is giving me 0.7 units of insulin. It's not much, it's just enough to keep me in the safe zone. Over here, this is time and range in a total hour. We have the green with the being the time and range. We have the yellow showing how much time in the 24-hour period I spent out of range, and below it shows that 1% of the time, and that's represented by the little piece there. Now, it's important to say that each percentage is representative of 15 minutes. So my blood sugar dropped below 3.9 for 15 minutes yesterday. And of course, it gives again what my average sugar is. Okay. I just thought I'd go over to that and so that I could maybe speed that up a bit for you. Today, what do I want to do today? I want to, let's go and see what we're going to discuss today, because it just leapt by mind. Today, I want to discuss routines. Maybe if I discussed it every day as a routine, we'd win. I don't know. My mind's kind of gone. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. routines. They are helpful in diabetes management. It doesn't mean that it's all going to be super tight and, you know, the diabetes man, if you do routines, everything's going to fall right into place. Yeah, you won't have to worry about anything. Yeah, if that was the case, I would be in the same position I am now. But routines can help you. Now, again, I come back. The pump helps me in that if I don't want to eat, I don't press the insulin, but I know that the basal rate is still working, so I can enjoy and be a little bit more flexible. I've said this before in yesterday's video that if you've given yourself a shot, you're going to have to eat to back that up. But if you don't give a shot and you don't take your morning basal rate, you're going to be in hot water. Now, the pump entitles. But we've done the video. I want to talk about a routine. One of the things as a kid, I used to fight with my father over this. He used to say, oh, you have to get up and you have to do everything same every day. You have to get up at 6 a.m. even on Friday and Saturdays. Saturday and Sundays. Just so you should be doing it all the same. He was technically right. But as a teenager, I wasn't going to say that. I never got buy-in from me about it. Now, looking back, I say, yeah, he was right. But the pump nowadays, if I want to sleep in and miss breakfast, I can sleep in and miss breakfast. But before, you had to take your insulin, and if you didn't eat, you'd be in trouble. That was the base of the whole thing. You had to eat whether you liked it or not. So therefore, you had to have a routine. And even with counting carbs, you still had to sit there and have a routine. It sort of got down to waking up. And of course, I'd wake up and do my take my insulin, go up, have breakfast, and then there'd be a long list of, since you're up. And the whole thing he said originally was, well, you could go back to bed. No, I couldn't because he left this long list. And if I said no, I went back to bed, I would get in trouble for not completing that. Because after I was done that for the morning, he would have another long list going. That, exercise is the best. And you can do that walking around. Now, I think we heard that all from our mothers. Cleaning the house is much better workout than going to the gym. Who has heard that? They may be right. But getting up, getting yourself ready for school, eating, heading out the door, showering, all could be taking certain time. So you wake up, you could do that. It also stops you from giving yourself insulin or giving yourself bolus. Because there were times I'd race out the door, I'd take my shot, I thought, and then I'd get halfway to work and forgot, oh my God. Sometimes I would have to go home, get the insulin, but I got too smart for that. I started to have a bottle of insulin at work too. So that if my blood sugars went high because I did take my insulin, when I got to work, I could do a shot. And at that point, I'd start doing roller coaster effects. Once I learned not to listen to this thing and say, how can I do shortcuts? And just start to get into a routine to doing things. I had less chances of lower blood sugars because I took my dose at the regular time and then did everything else, got out the door, went to work. I would end up having better days. So I'm not saying you have to be micromanaged, but set up a time in the morning where you're not that swamped before you have lunch. What? Blood sugars are less than 5 seconds now? You can do a blood sugar. If you're lucky that I am, I can press this and it tells me what my blood sugar is. Pure and simple. So that was easy. Dinner. My biggest thing was dinner was coming home, falling asleep, and I was tired. I'd spent the whole long day at work. But I have to set an alarm to get up to do a blood sugar for dinner. The pumps have taken that away, where if I just want to get up, do my insulin before dinner, eat, I can. But it's still a good idea to follow a routine that works with your life. When I started with the diabetes, routines were the medical professional made up your routines, and you had to live by those routines. Sorry about that. Hair just hair in the mustache. Sorry, but that doesn't work for everyone. Some people work nights, and I worked nights for many years, but I ran into problems on the weekends. You go and you do try to change your life into daytime, and you just run into problems again. It was terrible. If you would be able to follow the same routine, get up at 11, stay up all night, and then go back to bed. There were times I would, during the week, Monday to Friday, record TV all day. Like, I was in on watching the old programming, so I do that so that if I had to do nights, I could stay up, watch those videos, commercials and all. But it wasn't the best. I started to have problems. The doctor suggested I go into daytime. And when I went into daytime, the little light bulb went on in here. And I said, you know what? Let's try this. And I just did it on the whim. The same sort of thing I had done in the past. Get up, try to do the programming, and then when I faltered, it was all over. But this time, I got up the next day and I went back to it. Now, just because you're following a routine doesn't mean that everything is going to be perfect. It's not. I can tell you that pure in and pure out. It's not. Getting yourself into perfect control is difficult if you're just a typical diabetic, but if you're a labile diabetic like myself, it can be even more difficult. But you have to stick with the routines. The routines is something you can work in. I set up a routine for me that was easy for me to follow. I didn't expect things to go crazy. And your routines can be modified. It's important to remember this, that your routines don't have to be written down in stone. If you find something's not working, modify it. But I do suggest you have it written down and have it someplace in pure eyesight that you can say, okay, this is what I did. I started to have a textbook, and in the, not textbook, sorry, a binder. And in this binder, I had my sheets of recording blood sugar. I would have pamphlets about different types of diabetes care. And this turned into a binder that when I go to the doctor, I'd have all my blood sugars there, my treatments down. And I took pride in this. But I had a computer and a printer at the time and able to do things. But now, in here, I'm sort of have a routine set upon me, and it works here, so it's not a big issue. But I keep knowing that lunchtime's coming. I still have to check my glucometer to see, not my glucometer, my pump. And if we do this, right, you see I'm going up. So, all in all, a routine works. Now, for example, with this correction, in my old life, that would be a time to give insulin. But that was me. It works different for you. Work with your doctor. Come up with a game plan that works for you. Have a great day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now. My email address is Mike's Diabetes World at gmail.com. All one line. Drop me